So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for a webinar focusing on the regulatory landscape in the Middle East. So many of you, for instance, those joining us, those exporters joining us from the UK, the essence of this was to get our agents in the Middle East, British Centers for Business, to get the regulators in the region to take us through some of the main requirements in terms of export to the region. With Brexit just around the corner, we know how important the Middle Eastern market has become or is going to become for us. So Ura and her colleagues in BCB kindly arrange for authorities in the UAE and also in Kuwait to take us through the main requirements that need to be done when you're exporting to the region. We also have a butcher focusing on British products from in the UAE who has kindly agreed to speak to us today. So I'll hand over to the team in Dubai, maybe Ura or another colleague, to take us through the next speaker so that we will get to listen to what they have to share with us. So thank you very much again for everyone who has joined us today.
Thank you so much, Hawa, for the introduction. I'm actually very excited to be here today. We have an interesting number of speakers that we have planned for this morning. First of our speaker would be Ms. Essa Al-Sumaiti from Dubai Municipality, who will be running us through the regulatory requirements when it comes to Dubai selling into the UAE market. Second of all, our second speaker will be Mike Baker. He is the CEO of the British Butcher's Shop. So he actually is basically an example of a British that is selling the lamb that we all want to sell into the UAE market. So he's going to be running us through, of course, a brief introduction to his business, as well as his experience, his challenges, and the opportunities he sees within the markets. Then thirdly, we would also have from the British Embassy in Kuwait, Ms. Gula Al-Sharfi. I'm sorry, Gula, if I didn't pronounce that properly. Ms. Gula will be talking to us about the Kuwaiti market, understanding the Kuwaiti market, as well as the regulations required in doing business in Kuwait. For now, please use the chat function if you have any questions related to any of the things that our speakers will talk about. We'll take Q&As at the end of the webinar, and you feel free to ask as many questions. But if any question does come into your mind, please use the chat function and ask any question it is that you may have. So without further ado, I'm going to pass on the line to Ms. Asa, who would be running through the UAE regulatory requirements when it relates to the meat and lamb products within this market. Over to you, Ms. Asa.
I hope the screen is showing. Can you see the PowerPoint, Ora?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
First of all, I would like to welcome everyone attending this, and I hope my name is Hissa. I'm from Dubai Municipality, which is a local food authority in Dubai. I'm part of Food Safety Department. I'll just give you a brief about what do we do first and what are the requirements in case you are planning to import. And if there is anything that you would like us to help you more, you can contact us. I've put our contact details later on at the end of the slides. So Dubai Municipality Organization, Food Safety Department is under Health, Safety and Environment sector. It has 4 different sections. and each is responsible for a different task. First of all, we have food studies and systems section, which is responsible for studies, risk levels of products and doing so. The second one is food inspection section. This section is responsible for all the inspections that are done in the local market for restaurants, um, for schools, malls, and everything, food-related inspections. Third is permit section. Uh, we do this is when engaging the community in the food safety process. There is applied nutrition section. They do awareness campaigns for community. And finally, food trade control section, which is related to import and re-export. In case you're planning to import and export from Dubai, if you want to sell it for the local market. So food trade control section is the responsible section for all these businesses. We have around 15 port of entries. The port of entries are working 24/7 non-stop. We have shipments coming from seaports, airports, land ports, and there are shipments also that are inspected in the company's warehouse. In case the inspection is not done in any of these borders or ports, the consignments are not, the inspector is not able to check the products at the port itself, then we continue the inspection at the company's warehouse here in Dubai. These are just to give you an idea about all the different port of entries in Dubai. You can see all the seaports, land ports, and airports here. Our responsibility is to inspect and release all imported food shipments for the local market, and we also inspect the shipments for re-export purposes. We supervise on the food destruction, and we also verify the compliance of imported foodstuffs through three main things. Physical inspection, we do labeling inspection of the product, and if required, sampling is done for the lab test. This is an average, on average shipments, monthly shipments statistics. For the land ports unit, we receive around 6,000 shipments per month. For airports, through airports, we receive around 12,000 shipments monthly. And seaports, 12,600 consignments, and the warehouse inspection is 3,000 shipments per month. Our services include food consignment release permit. We also issue export health certificates for the products that are re-exported from Dubai. Dubai is a trade hub, so we receive many shipments for the re-export services purpose. So we also issue export health certificate for the product. We have food consignment transfer between Emirates if you're planning to import through Dubai, but the warehouse or anything is in other Emirates, you can transfer the shipment. Food destruction services, and the import for export for inspection is done also. We use the food import and export system, which is called FIRS, and all the transactions are done through this online service. So this is a customer journey. If you are planning to bring any product, you can, if you are planning to import products to Dubai, you can do it by obtaining a trade license by yourself. You can bring it by your own company or deal with any established dealer in Dubai. Registration of the company is required to get access to all the online services through the Dubai municipality website. Item registration must be done. This is before bringing the product. So company registration, item registration is mandatory. Item registration is just an online service done. You can do it anywhere Just all what you have to do is to have a clear picture of the product and a clear picture of the label itself. So just attach the pictures and we will register the products for you in our online system. Doing lab tests before bringing the product is recommended, but it's an optional choice. You don't have to do it. It's just to ensure that the product is meeting our standards and there is nothing banned. What might be approved in UK might be banned here as per our standards. So just to check if it will meet our standards, it is recommended to do a pre-lab test. Later, when the shipment will arrive, you need to ensure that all the documents are available and apply for online import request. The shipments will be brought to the inspection area at the port and physical inspection will be done. And if a lab test is required, then we will take samples for the lab test. And depending on the lab result, the consignment will be released. I have a short video that explains all the requirements. So I hope it's, can you see it?
Food manufacturers and exporters play an important role in the food trade with the cooperation of importers by knowing the food regulations.
Because all we can see here, at least that I can see, is the food import requirements, and it says click here, and that's all. Then I can hear the voice. No video is showing yet.
No.
I think it just came now.
Food manufacturers and exporters play an important
Can you hear the voice, Wara?
Yes, we can.
Role in the food trade with the cooperation of importers by knowing the food regulations and requirements of the importing country, which facilitates the trade movement between the countries. The efforts by the Food Safety Department of Dubai Municipality are to inform food manufacturers and exporters about the requirements of food imports to the Emirate of Dubai. General information. Food manufacturers and exporters can export their food products to the UAE through any distributing company based in the UAE or directly by obtaining a trade license in the UAE, having general trading or any food activity. Food label requirements. These requirements are to ensure that the product labels of food manufacturers exporting to the UAE comply with the current UAE Food Standard Number UAE S9, which is concerned with the explanatory statements prepared to reach the final consumer, and that all food standards and specifications can be obtained through the Emirates Standards and Metrology site. General requirements. Food labels and accompanying statements should be in Arabic, and when one or more other languages are used besides Arabic, all data in these languages must be identical to those written in Arabic. When mentioning the data in Arabic in another label on the original label of the package, the following is required. All data in Arabic should be on one additional label. The added label does not hide any information. Be difficult to remove. The food labels are not easily removable from the food packaging. The data should be clear, prominent, non-removable, and easy to read to the consumer. Do not use any names, symbols, marks, or images that are prohibited by law. To assess the food label to ensure that it complies with the United Arab Emirates requirements, food manufacturers and exporters must communicate with their distributor or importer in the UAE so that they may submit an application for food label assessment for the products to be exported by sending scanned label and product image. Document requirements. Food exporters must provide all documents of exported food consignments issued from the country of origin or country of export as follows: Health certificates issued by the related authority at the country of origin. Packaging list. Halal slaughtering certificate for meat and poultry, and halal certificate for products and food containing ingredients from animal sources. Any additional documents required, such as the radioactivity-free certificates from some countries, heavy metals-free certificates, dioxin-free certificates, certificate confirming that fish are not fed on animal protein, certificate proving the claim that the products are not genetically modified, certificate proving the claim that the products are organic, issued by the recognized bodies of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment. Health or nutritional claims when needed, only accepted if certified by an internationally recognized scientific body. It is advisable to bring samples of the products to be imported and tested in Dubai's central laboratory of the Dubai municipality to ensure that the food products to be exported are compatible with the standards and specifications approved in the UAE. This is in order to avoid any refusal and delay of releasing of food consignments due to incomplete requirements, and to release the food shipments from the ports of entry in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, Dubai Emirate.
Okay. So that was a brief video about all the requirements for import. The video showed that there are some documents required, required documents such as health certificate, halal, packing list, other certificates if there is any claim about organic, GMO-free certificate. So you need to have a certificate that approves this statement. For organic certificate, you can get it from, the approved list is from Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. This is their website, moca.gov.ae, to check if it is from an approved authority or not. Health certificate requirements, the details that must be declared on the health certificate are these. There should be logo, the issuing authority, it should be from government health authority related to food. So these are the details that must be on declared on the health certificate. It could be either electronic certificate or original printed certificate. Now there are many countries that have electronic versions of the certificate. All that we need is like a verification code or a link that we can check if it is original or not. For a health certificate and GMO-free certificate must be original and submitted at time of inspection. These are the details that must be presented on the label. Arabic label is mandatory in case you are planning to sell it for the entire UAE to get the normal release. If there is any barcode, you can directly enter the international barcode. Product name, brand name, these details must be mentioned on the product. If there is any E-number of additive or instructions for use, if the product must be prepared in certain way, or if there is any allergens or warnings, all these details must be declared on the product. As it was viewed in the video, that you can export your food products to UAE through any distributing company based in UAE, or you can obtain a trade license in any of the Emirates. It should be related to food, or general trading activity can also be accepted. The role of exporters and importers is to comply food standards of UAE. To check, the exporter role is to check the label and shelf life of package, to make sure that all the standards are met. Importer can apply for label assessment and thus ensure that the label is, or the product is meeting the requirements. There are two services for items, item registration and label assessment. Item registration is just putting the product in our data set, in our database, and it will make it easier for you to bring the products again. You don't have to put all the details of the product every time you bring it to UAE. So it's only one-time registration. For label assessment, if there is any remarks, anything unpermitted, if there is anything banned in the product, so we give you feedback on the request itself and tell you to modify or change anything on the label. To get the food standards from isma.gov.ae, from standard store, you can get any of the standards related to shelf life, related to the label itself. For each different category, there is a standard. Halal, you can get halal list for any meat, poultry products, or any gelatin, or you can get the halal list from halal.ae, this website, and get the list of all the approved slaughterhouses. We have also a IAC to get the halal certification bodies approved by us. And that's it. So these are some statistics of import to Dubai. For the last 3 years, these are the number of imported food consignments to Dubai. It has been decreased slightly from 351 to 345,000 consignments. A number of imported items have been decreased slightly from comparing to 2018. Quantity of food imported in funds have been increased compared to 2018. Now we'll move to statistics coming for products coming from United Kingdom, from UK. Total imported consignments for the last 4 years, it has been increased since 2017 to reach 8,000, almost 8,071 consignments. We received in 2019 8,000 food containers. Total food items, these are the statistics for last 4 years. And funds, we have statistics. So here we can see that the most imported food products from UK in the last 3 years were, as you can see, coming from grain, cereals, and products category, food group, followed by dairy food products, and then chocolate, confectionery, sugar, and products. So these are the highest food groups that were imported for the past 3 years coming from UK. This is in further details and more details of the exactly what are the products that were imported. As you can see in 2019, cornflakes, biscuit, natural mineral water, these are the products that were highest in import coming from UK. So in 2017, it was white sugar. Before that, it was mineral water. And that's it. I hope it was beneficial. If you have any inquiries, you can send us an email or ask us directly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Asa, for the general overview of the requirements of doing business within the UAE markets as pertaining to Dubai municipality. I can see here that there are some questions already, but we'll probably take the questions at the end of the this webinar. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Mike Baker, who's going to speak to us on his journey in the UAE market, where his challenges with regards to doing business here and the opportunities that he has seen for his business at this point. So over to you, Mr. Mike.
Thank you, Laura. It's actually Barker, not Baker, but I'll let you off.
My bad.
Morning, guys. Hope you're all doing well. I've been in Dubai since 1998. Previously Sainsbury's in the UK, and before that I was with Dewhurst the Butchers. If any old guys there, you know what Dewhurst the Butchers are. So I'm a qualified butcher. I've been here since 98, 22 years now in Dubai, predominantly working in food retail in the supermarkets in Dubai. And the last few years, we've been working in the wholesale food division for food trading companies. And the past 3 years, I've been running my own company, which is Apron and Cleaver Meat Trading. We're a food trading company, and we also run the retail brand, the British Butcher Shop. You can see my logo behind me. And we do a lot of non-halal pork products into Dubai. We're probably the single largest importer of chilled pork over here. We have some retail outlets within supermarkets. We supply a lot of retailers, and we supply some hotels as well. We're just now launching or looking to launch the beef, lamb, and chicken, all the halal part of the business. And we're going to have our own standalone shop to do that in one of the malls in Dubai. It's not without its challenges. Predominantly, the first one is price. Biggest challenge we face at the moment, especially since COVID, is air freight pricing. It's doubled, tripled since beginning of the year. And of course, we have to pass that cost on to the consumer. The dominating market here at the moment is Australian, New Zealand beef and lamb. They control the market. When I first came here in '98, Irish beef was king. And then that was stopped because of BSE. So we have a fight price-wise, really. Quality, we can beat quality on the Australian and New Zealand beef and lamb. But it's price-conscious customers. It's very hard to get them to come on board. But that's what I'm going to do. We've done the same with our outdoor reared Suffolk pork, our pork from Yorkshire, all free range. And we're not the cheapest in the market, but people come to us now for quality. So I'm hoping to pass that on again for the beef, lamb, and chicken. Chicken is mainly Brazilian, frozen, so 99.9% is frozen. There's a little bit of chilled chicken coming to the market from Ireland, and a little bit from the UK. Marks and Spencer sell it over here. Pork-wise, you're looking at chilled is from Belgium, from Holland. It's quite strong here. Biggest one is frozen from Brazil. But obviously, I must sell about 2 ton a week from Suffolk, all outdoor reared. So we are getting through some. So the next challenge for me really is the beef, lamb, and chicken. I'm looking forward to getting involved in that side of it. We're hoping to go live with all that beginning of next year. So I'll be relying on you guys in the UK to find me good suppliers. Laura, anything else from me?
Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about what you are seeing in terms of the demand for British product within this market, in terms of, because a lot of our participants here, they are, of course, probably one of the people that you will be speaking to soon, once you start to get in your lamb product. But where do you see the gaps are? Where do you see the opportunities for British product or British lamb within this market?
We've started bringing in British lamb now from ABP. We do a small quantity, just mainly for one of the hotels here. We will be launching this in our shop as well, but pricing is key on this. And we are nearly double the Australian lamb price. And that's with ourselves keeping our margins quite low. Air freight doesn't help, bringing in air freight, because you're paying more per air freight you have for the cost of the product. But hopefully once COVID is sorted, the air freight pricing will come down again once more flights get up in the air. It's mainly about consumer education. We've gone from, when we started 3 years ago, selling 200 kilos a week, we now do over 2 ton a week. In 3 years, it's quite good. We've taught the consumer to buy outdoor reared, to buy free range. And that's the same thing we're going to do with the British beef and the British lamb. But it takes time. It does take time. Okay,
so you're saying that the main challenge here for British product is just the pricing.
Pricing and educating the end consumer. The quality is superb. Quality is superb. Okay. And I need to have a more in-depth look at the halal side of it as well. Because at the moment we bring in HFA, HMC, but there's also HMB as well. I don't know if we're allowed to bring that one in yet. There's a lot of supply. We're not now. I can see him shaking his head now. I'll ask a question at the end on why we can't do that. But there's a lot of producers who I can buy from who has a decent product, but I can't because it's HMB. Yeah. So I think if we can sort that out, then it'll make my job a lot easier.
Okay. So I'm sure Awal is here. You want to say something?
Yeah, Mike, thanks so much for an insightful introduction to what you do in the UAE. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself properly. I'm the halal sector manager in the UK. So I work for I work for AHDB. The reason why HMB is currently not allowed to export products or their certificate is not recognized is there are the likes of ESMA, Dubai Municipality. They do not recognize the certificate that is issued by HMB.
Why is that though?
They need to go through certain processes to be able to comply with the GSO, which is the Middle Eastern standard. They haven't done so yet, but at the minute we have the likes of the Halal Food Authority, the Halal Monitoring Committee, RACS. They are all recognized by the authorities in the UAE.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can have the conversation with HMB if you want me to pick up.
If you could,
pick it up with them.
Yeah, just gives me another catalog of supplies I can buy from.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, then. Thank you so much for your insights, Mr. Mike. Really appreciate that. So moving on, I'm going to hand over now to Ms. Gula, who is going to be talking to us about the Kuwaiti market. Ms. Gula, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So I'm going to share the screen now. 1 second, please.
Thank you.
Right. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay. Over to you now.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for attending. My name is Gula Sharafi, Senior Trade Advisor at the British Embassy in Kuwait. First, I would like to start by giving you an overview about Kuwait. Next slide, please. Thank you. Kuwait is a constitutional emirate with a semi-democratic political system with a powerful national assembly. Kuwait population is around 4.2 million people, out of which 70% are expats. Arabic is the first language, with English widely spoken and used in business. Kuwait considered to be safe and strategic place to do business, and the reason we say this is because Kuwait is adjacent to some of the largest and highly populated countries in the region, such as Iraq, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. So as the business located in Kuwait, it will be easy for business to serve customers across countries. Kuwaitis are familiar with the UK, and most of them, they own houses in the UK, and many Kuwaitis are educated overseas, and especially in UK. For example, last year we have more than 6,000 Kuwaiti students. They were studying in the UK university. There is no foreign currency restrictions. The GDP of the country is around 30.8 billion pounds, out of which oil and gas contributes about 14% to the GDP. Revenue, about 90% of total export is from oil sources. When we talk about corporate income tax, foreign business in Kuwait pay a flat corporate income tax rate of 15%. Kuwaiti and GCC companies owned by individuals are currently not taxed in practice. Kuwaiti dinar is one of the highest value currency in the world, where one Kuwaiti dinar equal 2.5 pounds. Next slide, please. Thank you. Talking about the Kuwait Vision 2035, the Kuwait Vision 2035 was launched by His Highness, the former Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah in 2010 to transform Kuwait to international hub for business and commerce. Since then, Kuwait launched various projects within Vision 2035 in coordination between the public and private sector. This vision, called the Kuwait National Development Plan, and it has 7 pillars to support this vision, which is the efficient government administration, and we have already seen this through digitalization of government services, Sustainable economy, quality and development infrastructure, sustainable living environment, high quality healthcare, creative human capital, and global positioning. Next slide, please. When we will talk about the food and drink, if we can move to the next slide, thank you. If we will be talking about the food and drink sector here in Kuwait, Kuwait has the fastest food consumption's growth rate in the GCC. Kuwait food and drink is expected to reach growth of 9.6% per annum over the next 5 to 10 years. Furthermore, the country has ambitions to become the world's food capital by 2030, a vision that requires launching food accelerators, culinary schools, world-class food events, and conferences. Since over 90% of the Kuwaiti food and drink industry depend on imports of finished and raw food products from overseas, the Kuwaiti cannot deliver on this ambition without capitalizing on the innovation, diversity, and expert that the UK food and drink industry can bring. Current trend in the industry in Kuwait mirror the UK. A varied international palate shift away from junk and fast food to healthier foods. The demand for organic, high-quality ingredients and innovative food concepts are all grow at an exceptional rate in Kuwait. Of course, restaurants industry is a big market for food producers and ingredients. Next slide, please. Well, we need to talk about meat now. So food here in Kuwait is central in the Kuwaiti way of life, especially lamb and mutton. Kuwait is ranked second after the USA among countries with highest consumptions of meat. Each Kuwaiti citizen consumes on average 119.2 kilogram of meat per year, which is around 10 kilogram per month. And this number is increased on religious occasions such as Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr, and also in Ramadan. In 2018, Kuwait imported 193,000 tons of meat, which include poultry, beef, goat, and lamb. The Kuwaiti market is product hungry, opens the door completely for UK lamb, which should take advantage of the momentum to build solid positions through large operators. Apparently, this market is less price-driven than the others in the GCC. Kuwaiti has shifted its consumption patterns from a carbohydrate-based diet to protein-based diet. This has increased the demand for meat and meat products. Kuwait is now looking for other sources as alternative away from Australia and New Zealand meat. In the chilled market, lamb is more popular due to superior quality offering, and it mainly goes to retail outlets, meat shops, and B2C distributions channels. In the frozen market, mutton is more popular due to its price competitiveness, which is a majority dislining factor in buying decision for B2B clientele. The one who's controlling the market here in Kuwait, of course, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and also we have some meats from Jordan, Syria, and other countries. Something I have discovered from one of the clients that I spoke to yesterday, and he mentioned that the Australian mutton has lost a lot of market share in the Kuwaiti market due to its high price. I think now most of the Australians, they are focusing on the Chinese market. Mutton market is very price driven. Hence, the countries which offer quality product at a lower price get the majority market share here in Kuwait. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the general inquiries, as my colleague mentioned, in Dubai, we have almost similar. They always ask for the commercial invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, health and halal certificate, and of course, the label must show products and brand name, origin of animal fats, date of production and expired, name and address of the factory. When I need to focus more on the halal certificate, it must be original copy, must be issued by a competent authority in the country of origin. It should include invoice number, container number, halal attestation. The food is fit for human consumptions and comply with the standards. Just make sure when you write when it's come to the country of origin, please write United Kingdom, not Wales, not Scotland, just United Kingdom. When it's come to the halal certificate, halal, it's a certificate issued in the country of origin by accredited Kuwait Islamic Agency. It must be original copy, attesting that the animal has been slaughtered in accordance with the rules of Islamic Sharia. And of course, you can always check with the Halal Food Authority, and I have put for you some examples here. Next slide, please. Thank you. Here, I'm going to talk quickly about the key stakeholders, and number one is the Public Authority for Food, and of course, the Minister of Health. Minister of Commerce, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Kuwait Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Kuwait Chamber of Commerce and Industry has played a major role to lift the ban before 5 years. Of course, the customs and Kuwaiti municipality. We don't forget that the private sector is really playing a major role. And we have one of the biggest company here in Kuwait. It's called Kuwait Livestock Company, or Al Mawashi. Supermarkets also and retail chain have witnessed 40% growth on food imports since the beginning of COVID-19. And most of the big supermarkets here in Kuwait, like Safeco, City Center, they all carry popular brands like popular British brands, actually, like Tesco and Waitrose. And of course, Union Co-op is a major player actually here in Kuwait, and they own 60% of the market. Next slide, please. Thank you. How we can help you here in Kuwait. Our role here at the DIT Kuwait is to make connection with the British companies who want to do business with Kuwaiti companies. We can provide you or assist you in finding the right partner or the distributors. We can also arrange a visit program for you in the near future once the airport will be open, and we hope it will be open soon. And of course, we will be happy to invite you to participate in a trade mission, webinars and events. And thank you so much. This is all from me. And thank you again for listening. Happy to take any questions later. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Gula, on that really insightful presentation on the Kuwaiti market. There are a few questions here, and I would start with for Ms. Asa. Is it a legal requirement that certain documents such as the health certificates, packing list, invoice, halal certificate needs to be legalized via the Arab Chamber of Commerce prior to export to the UAE? I'm guessing that would be for Ms. Asa.
Yeah. For import shipments, in case you are planning to bring any shipment, it is not required to attest the documents, whether it is health certificate, packing list, or halal, from Chamber of Commerce. We need it to be approved from the government health authority that is related to the food itself. And I would like to highlight this. The documents should be related to the shipment itself,
So if you are bringing any health certificate, it should have the details of the products, like quantities, weight, and all these details of the products of the shipment itself. But it doesn't have to be a test of snow. It only needs to have authority stamp, and it should be original.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Gula, would this be the same? Would this be the same for Kuwait? Do documents need to be legalized via the Arab Chamber of Commerce?
The halal certificate and health certificate, no, you don't need to do that. But the halal certificate, you need to stamp it from the Kuwait embassy in London.
All right. Okay. Got that. All right. If I don't know if there are other questions, now would be a good time to put your questions in the chat box if you do have any. Beyond that, I'm guessing this will be the end of our presentation, and I will at this point hand over to Mr. Awal on this.
Yeah, thank you again, Gula, for organizing such a very useful meeting. And also, I would like to personally thank Ms. Hassa, Mike, and Gula for your wonderful presentation. That was very useful to our exporters. One of the questions that somebody has asked, I think that is Darag from Kepak. He is asking whether the documents need to be stamped or endorsed by the Arab Chamber of Commerce. That in recent times, some of our exporters have raised the issue that some of their importers in the Middle East are requiring that those products those documents need to be stamped or sort of authenticated by the Arab Chamber. So it's useful that both Gula and Hassa have indicated that that is not a legal requirement. So we'll try and see if we can follow that up. So once again, thank you very much for organizing this. Our plan is to organize a series of these. So our next focus will be on Saudi Arabia. So hopefully early 2021, we will try to arrange something with Saudi Arabia for us to be educated on the requirements. Once again, thank you very much to everybody who has attended and all our speakers for today. Mike, I'll be in touch with you soon. What you do is something that I really, really want to understand because we're planning to do some sort of marketing of British products in the UAE. So we want to know what the consumers want so that we can invest our resources in targeting the right USPs in the right magazines.
Okay, yeah, quite happy to help on that.
Great. So thank you very much, everyone. I'll hand over to Wura to bring it to an end.
All right. Thank you so much to all our speakers, Mr. Mike, Ms. Asa, Ms. Gula, for this insightful session, speaking on the regulatory requirements and the opportunities within the UAE market and the Kuwaiti market. So since there are no questions, I would be ending this webinar, and thank you again. And hopefully, like Awal said, by 2021, we'll be able to do something specifically focused on the Saudi market and bring in other markets that we think that there are lots of interest for British product, British lamp within the market. So thank you, everyone, and have a good morning.